Hello and welcome to this week's Thought for the Day. Now, I can't believe Sunday is already Advent Sunday. I've barely got it used to it being 2025, yet here we are again entering that final month of the year, bringing us into that time of preparation and reflection, of waiting and longing. That story that will lead us to a baby, the Son of God, the Saviour of the world, born in a manger. The most beautiful and world-changing of stories. And thinking of Advent this year, I've been thinking about some of the journeys that those key characters take. Mary and Joseph, the shepherds, the kings, those whom God offers an invitation and who have the courage to follow. I wonder if you've ever wished that God would speak more clearly in your life. The voice of an angel, or maybe even a whole chorus of angels spelling out the right choice when you've got a difficult decision to make. Maybe a star in the sky to lead you the right way when you don't know if you're on the correct path or not. Maybe simply a moment of reassurance, something that tells you your prayers are not unheard. But it's interesting, isn't it? I think most of the time when we long for a message from God, it probably is because we want that clarity or that comfort. We want guidance, but that's often to support the plans that we already have. And the Christmas story is very, very different than that. Mary wasn't sat there asking to become the mother of Jesus. She wasn't seeking a great revelation. No, God's message arrives as an interruption that turns her world upside down. Rather than answering a prayer, it actually asks something of her, inviting her into a story far bigger, far riskier, and far more uncertain than the one she had imagined for herself. Scott Erickson, he's read a wonderful book of Advent reflections. It's called Honest Advent. And in fact, I'll put a link in the description below that will take you to a page that I've put on our website, which has a few books and resources that you might find helpful to engage with Advent this year. But he writes this, that revelation is both a gift and a cost. It brings clarity, yes, but it also signals that life will not stay the same. Everything will change, he says. Most of all, you. We want God to work in our lives, but are we always prepared for what that might mean? What if divine guidance is not about God blessing our plans, but about us opening and aligning ourselves with God's? And that can be costly. It's vulnerable, it takes faith, and that step of faith can often look like stepping into something unclear, unfamiliar, and out of our control. Joseph's disrupted plans for his life, taking a turn that he certainly wouldn't have expected, nor certainly would he have prayed for. Shepherds leaving everything behind to follow an unexpected invitation. Wise men travelling without knowing exactly where their journey would end. And of course, taking some missteps along the way. None of them had certainty, but what they had was an invitation and the courage to respond. And what if God still works like that today? What if God is still inviting us into something deeper and more beautiful than the story we might write for ourselves, even if it feels riskier and unclear. Maybe our task as a church and as individual people of faith is not simply to ask God to bless what we are already doing, but to listen for where God is at work and where God is inviting us to join in. Maybe that's something to ponder as we enter the coming weeks, as we remember how Mary made a home for God. And maybe that's an invitation for us this Advent, to make a home, to make space for God in our lives, to take steps of risky faith even when things are uncertain, and to trust that the story God draws us into is deeper and more beautiful than any we could have planned. And so may we, like Mary and Joseph, like the shepherds and the kings, have the courage to receive God's invitation and to step forward in faith wherever it may lead.